now that I'm retired, I'd have to look at my watch. It's the 23rd of October. So for our laser SIG. And we've been playing with Alan's pumpkin carving with his laser. But what we really wanted to talk about tonight was I invited Susan to come so she could tell us her woes of her free laser.
Free.
Can everybody see Susan? I pinned her video. I hope everybody can see her. So,
are we good? You guys can hear and see me?
Okay.
I got a little message that came up, said my internet was unstable, so I apologize if it goes out again. You just want me to go for it?
Sure, show it. I mean, you can show it to us, or you can, yeah, go for it. Tell us your story.
So I think it might have been a couple years ago, a friend of mine was upgrading his lasers in his actual company, and he said he didn't want this little laser, and he was going to give it to me for free. So I took it, and I don't want to make you seasick, but I'm going to give you a quick tour, and then we'll come back to steady view. Oh, here's my little shop. It's a 1-car garage with really nice floors that I'm afraid of ruining all the time. Sorry, I'm trying to go slow. This is the laser. It's like a 17-inch by 24, I think, bed. I can't see what I'm showing you guys. And it's got a, now has a Cloud Ray CR90 laser tube, which is about 4 feet long. And you can see it has that extender. I have to make it a little bit longer just to get it to fit. I have to add another extension. And this is Alan's nightmare right here. These are all the wires. Oh, I can't see it. That's the wires and the controller that's not mounted. It's just kind of hanging out. There's the power supply still hanging off the side, sitting on some other tool thing. It's been a project. We have a little chiller down there and an overpowered fan that I have to replace because it blows the circuit. It's been an adventure. Let me turn this off. So, see what happened. I got the laser, got it moved, had a guy come over who was helping me, so was going to teach me how I was wiring it up and fixing it because it didn't have a RuiDa controller. So we wanted to put a RuiDa controller in it. And then he left town. Got it partway there and then left town, and I wasn't sure what was going on. He said it was firing and it was working, but I couldn't actually get it to get enough power. It was supposed to be a 100-watt bulb, it was not working right. So Alan kindly came over and offered to help debug everything. I don't think he saw the pictures of how bad it was before he came over.
It was a
It was a shock.
No, it was a spaghetti mess. It is
kind of spaghetti. It does work. It needs to be buttoned up, and it still needs some help. But what else do we have? So it turned out that the tube actually died. So I had to get a new tube and get over my fear of changing that out. Something about a deathly amount of electricity scared me from changing the tube myself for a long time. But I finally did it, and then Alan confirmed I did everything right and got it all tuned up, and had to do the mirrors were all out of whack, right?
Well, they were a little out of whack, but they looked like somebody had been spitting tobacco on them for about a year.
I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. So.
Oh, okay. Well, don't quit spitting tobacco on it.
Okay, we'll stop doing that.
You live on the east side of Escondido out in the county. I know that, you know.
That's right. It's just a thing. So it already has. There's a few things that I want to add to it, which is the visual. The chiller has an alarm. So if the chiller is not, if the water's not flowing, it will have it has an audible alarm, but it doesn't have a visual to show that. And I kind of like Alan's spinny visual thing for water. So I'll probably add one of those eventually. But today I was able to do this little guy. I had to find the focus again because we messed around. He showed me how to take the lens out and replace it. This is my husband's game studio logo, and it's going to be, I'm going to change the frame. It's going to be a little Christmas ornaments for the people at his company. And I have to make it faster because she wants 150 of them, and this one took 15 minutes, so that's not going to work. I got to figure out. Last time I did it, I didn't engrave the whole thing out. I just did lines, and then I painted it. So actually the painting took more than 15 minutes. So I don't know, I like this look, but I'm gonna change the frame and do it faster.
Can you do it smaller and like a crosshatch in the background instead?
Yeah, I could. But I was just excited that it's finally working. I think the last time I did them, I was intending to do them on my own laser, and I wound up doing everything at the shop and just using the shop lasers for everything. Now I can do it all here. I just have to calibrate myself to what power settings to use because that's still very confusing to me, but I'll figure it out.
What if you put transfer tape on it and then you just peeled off the part and sprayed it with black or something, and then?
Yeah, that's how I painted him last time, and there's so many little details that peeling off all that little tape and like it was just
really. Huh.
I'd rather not paint them. I'd actually rather do it like with this part cut out completely and hanging on a frame, and so it would spin. So it's 2 parts, because I think that would be really cool. But I don't know. Or do it in acrylic. But I'm going for speed at this point.
You could probably cut that out and make it spin a lot faster than you can engrave that whole.
Oh yeah, the engraving was the long part.
So it's just a matter of playing with the pattern. So what Susan didn't really say was when that thing burnt the first time, she was like a kid at Christmas with a new toy.
I still am. It works. It's in my shop. I could just come out and burn things whenever I want. Awesome.
So how long did it sit there not working?
Over a year, almost a year and a half.
Yeah. So.
And it probably, I had a gut feeling that it might be the tube, but I didn't want it to be the tube. I found the Cloudberry tube was on sale for $380, I think. So it really wasn't that bad. And we'll see how long it lasts or how good it is for long term, but it's pretty darn powerful. It works just fine for now.
It was burning through everything when we were there the other day.
Yeah.
It was the mirrors were off a little bit. So the guy that helped Susan out in the beginning was not didn't help her out much, in my opinion.
No, and it didn't teach me anything either. So I really wanted to learn how to troubleshoot it myself and deal with stuff myself. I'm okay with software and most electronics and wiring. I'm not okay with high voltage.
But now she knows she's not going to get shocked by it, so she can change the tube out anytime she wants.
I don't know.
Well, that's something that you have to be. I mean, the high voltage on anything is not to be taken lightly, but it's turned off and it had been off for quite a while. You can discharge those things with a grounding rod or something, and make, if you're still worried about it, as long as it's turned off for a while before you do that. And the bigger thing about it is breaking the tube. That's what I'm more afraid of now than the high voltage is. It's especially since I broke one already, but I didn't have much to do with that except not turning the chiller on. But they, that's just the careful part. But 90% after Susan put the tube in, the mirrors weren't that, not one of them, not any of them were that far off, but all of them were a little off, making it crazy, and we couldn't figure out. And then when we got them where we thought they were aligned, it still wouldn't work. And it was sort of my fault. I should have thought in the very beginning to clean the optics before I did anything else. So I'm redoing my troubleshooting idea there. But we did it last, and literally I used probably 2 handfuls of Q-tips, and they looked like I was like taking them and squishing them on the ground almost. They were that dirty.
It was
It
bad.
was bad. There was, I don't know if they had been doing plastic or something in there without ventilation, because it was more than just smoke on the mirrors. And it was on the back one too. That was the one that really threw me. The front ones didn't look as bad as that first mirror in the back was just gross filthy. And
Oh, that was the other thing that happened was the chiller had sat, the guy had put antifreeze in it with the water, convinced me I needed that for some reason to maybe, I think it was to, he thought it would keep things from growing in there. It didn't. It had some scum in there, and the antifreeze, I had to get that all rinsed out and cleared out, which took a few tries. And then it has to be primed. So it wasn't working for a while. It turns out the chiller, you have to actually loop the water back on itself to fill up the coils. Otherwise it just gives an error condition saying there's air in the line, and it just continually beeps at you. And it was not easy to find distilled water right now, or rubbing alcohol for cleaning the mirrors. So that's fun.
Susan has a very, she's got a lot better chiller than the CW5000s. And I don't think the CW5000s, any of them have that same feature, but literally it had to be primed, and you had to get all the air out of it before it would function properly. And I don't remember doing that at all. I just turned mine on, let all the bubbles get out of the tube, and I was good to go.
Yeah, it's not in the manual. The manual that it kind of comes with it. I should document this.
So we've got some more work to do, but she's up and running. We're not.
Thank you, Alan.
So, and I have to tell everybody, I did not do that for free. I got paid in eggs. And they're good eggs. So.
A few dozen eggs. We can have 25 chickens here on the property out here. So I get a lot of eggs every day. When they're laying naturally, I don't make them lay through the winter or when the light is low. So right now I was overflowing in eggs.
So we gotta get back in there and tighten and mount everything back together, but we'll get it up and running so we can get the side plates on it.
But it works.
But it does work.
As long as I don't trip over anything and pull all the wires out, it'll be fine.
Or turn the blower on, hooked up to the wrong plug.
Oh, yeah. So the fan, that was the other thing that happened when we were working on it, is find there was so much smoke coming out of it. So we turned on this big fan that I was given, and everything went dead. It blew the circuit breaker. It's kind of hard to believe, but the label on this blower says it's 550 watts.
Do you need a soft start for it?
Do I need a soft start?
Yeah.
What's that?
So I imagine the problem is the inrush current. So when you first switch it on, there's a huge inrush current on the motor like that. So that's probably what's flipping the breaker. So once it's running, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, 500 watts is not a whole lot.
Yeah, that may have been what it was, because we plugged it in, and within like 2 or 3 seconds is when we all of a sudden lost power. So I don't know how to do that, David. Can you buy a plug-in for that, or do you have to put a?
Yeah, I want to say you can get them where it's just like male on one side, female on the other, and you just put it in line. You're good to go. I'll check now.
You might also want to think about a slow blow circuit breaker that are meant for inductive loads, and it may handle that inrush. It depends upon the circuit, if it's a 15 amp or 20 amp circuit that you have going in there.
I think it's a 15, or I mean it's a 20. We went back and reset the breaker. It was a 20. So
Yep.
she's got a couple other breakers in that same area. So she's sort of plugging extension cords in to make it run right now.
Right. So I had to put the blower outside and then plug it into the garage on a different breaker, just to get it to test it today. But I do have a new fan that should draw less. I don't know if it'll be powerful enough, because this fan, there was no smoke in there at all. There should be no smoke on the mirrors or anything.
But did you get the same one, the one I sent you?
No. What?
Did you get the fan that I sent you off of Amazon?
Yes.
Okay, so it's basically the ones we had in the shop, only it's their big brothers. So and I don't have any problem with it at my house. So, and it's on the same circuit breaker as my chiller and the laser, so you shouldn't have any problem running that one.
So David, what was the thing called? A slow start?
It's a soft start.
Soft start.
Yeah, I'm seeing them on Amazon, but the cheapest one looks to be about $100.
Okay.
You may be able to get away with just a capacitor of some sort.
Well, hopefully this other fan, which is rated at much lower wattage, will also still work.
Well, and the other thing is that blower that was blowing the circuit breaker is loud.
Oh yeah, I don't want it inside the room.
Yeah, and the axial fan one is a lot quieter.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that, Susan.
Thank you for fixing it, Alan.
I had fun doing it.
Just as a side note, you don't have a GFCI or an AFCI circuit breaker for that, because the reading I'm getting right now is that those are instantaneous breakers, whereas a slow blow circuit breaker could handle more of that inrush and delay tripping after the inrush. Might be something to check out too.
I know some of my outlets are GF, but I don't know which ones. I don't think that one is.
But the circuit breaker is a regular circuit breaker. It's not a GFI circuit breaker. And we didn't pop the GFI outlet because we would have had to punch something. We would have had to reset the outlet, and we didn't have to do that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm guessing the problem is that it's just got a huge impeller on there. It's really heavy. It just takes a lot of power to first spin it up. Once it's going, keeping it going is not too bad.
Yeah.
So it's not just an instantaneous, like, milliseconds. It's going to take a little bit for you to spin that thing up.
Yeah, it's like the big green one that we had on the big green machine. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Only it's a black one. Yeah.
It's a little, I think it's overpowered for my purposes.
Well, you won't have any problem with smoke. That's for sure. So. All right. So the other thing I've been doing was I've been taking the Lightburn, a lot of the hotkeys on Lightburn. I'm trying to put together a sheet for that. The one I had didn't have all of the node editing functions, and I've really started using the node editing functions. And the other thing I've started using a lot was the letter bending function that they have with the blue dot on the font. So I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to put it on the Google Drive, so everybody can pull that down and see that. Have it for your make, laminate it, and you can make it your desk mat. That way you'll have a light burn desk mat. But and besides carving pumpkins, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I've been cutting. But if anybody else has anything they would like to share or show, I would be glad to see it.
Robbie has a show and tell piece. Are you ready?
Okay.
I did something.
It's his very first thing.
So I made this on our laser here. Now it's not all that complex, but it is, so Elizabeth and I back in, I guess it was 2010, went to go and see the launch of Discovery that year. So this is the mission patch from that. And we ended up getting engaged on the anniversary of that launch day in 2015, and then married that same year. So I basically just took the mission patch. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so
this is our life right now. Sorry.
So I basically just used Photoshop and altered the mission patch, and then put the different places where we had lived. And then it was our 5th anniversary this year. So I put that in, and so made a updated mission patch that hopefully I'll convert over to an actual mission patch at some point, but figured I would make it as a laser thing for Elizabeth.
Because 5 years is wood, so he thought it'd be cool.
Yeah,
to,
so for the 5th anniversary wood-based present, I made this for us.
So what
was that grayscale?
Sorry?
Was that a grayscale etching?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I just imported the actual colors off of into our into the Glowforge. So it does it automatically. I didn't specifically set it to be. I think if I did it differently, I probably would alter it a little bit, because like the October 15th or the October 12th part didn't come out as well. And I think I'd want more kind of definition for the 5 that I put into it. But for a first kind of pass at something, I think it was kind of fun to at least begin to get into some of these things and to use our laser at home. So
cool.
Yeah, looks great.
But something different.
Yeah, we're still learning to use the Glowforge, and it makes a lot of things easy, but sometimes them automating things for you makes it a little bit more challenging, because if you're coming from a place of but hey, I usually get to choose that and determine how that works myself. So we're both trying to figure it out, but I thought it was pretty awesome for a first. It was just as much an anniversary gift that he figured out how to use the Glowforge for me as the thing, because he kept saying well, when can you teach me how to use this? And I'm I figured out how to do it. You could figure out how to do it too. He's I know how to do it, and now he does too. Yeah. Thank you for being patient with our small one. Yeah.
Oh.
We'll mute ourselves.
So Elizabeth, does the Glowforge software export that in some kind of format, or are you stuck with it in Glowforge after you put it in there?
No, what you do is you upload a SVG. So you can use we typically use.
But you don't even have to do that. You can do it as a PDF. So I ended up. So if you want to do cutting, I think you should do an SVG. But if you want to just do an image, you can just upload a PDF. And so it allows you to just take a picture of something and put it in straight as a PDF, and it will represent it in a grayscale for you.
Oh, that's true, because I think they allow JPEG too. So any raster image, a standard raster image, they allow you to upload, and then they turn it into that grayscale that you're talking about, David. For me, I've done a lot of cutting with it, and a lot of vector-based work, and so everything that I've done, I've exported as an SVG, and then uploaded, and then told the Glowforge cut, score, etch whatever one I want.
So you can take that SVG file, and it's not useless after you've done it. You can take it to the shop and use the bigger laser or use light burn on it then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's not just, yes, you're right.
I just didn't, I've never used one, so I didn't know if it was if Glowforge was proprietary files type thing.
No, luckily not. I mean, and they do allow you to see like the burn speed and the power speed and everything. So that's good. It's not, I was afraid it was going to be so secretive that I wouldn't know what it was actually doing, but you can alter all of those components. So it can act as a regular or like a standard laser, we'll say. They just kind of make it easier if you're okay with that.
Cool. Anybody else have anything to show? Somebody's got to be burning something besides pumpkin.
Oh, I made a bowl too, if you guys want to see one more thing that we did.
Oh, yeah, so we did.
You made a bowl on a laser?
Yeah, it's really great. It's another wood anniversary, fifth anniversary.
So when's the cloth anniversary so we can see your patch?
Oh, that was the second anniversary.
Oh, didn't make
Paper
that
is
one.
one, cotton is two. So I just cut out this shape, right, and several different sizes and stacked it. Sorry, I feel like I need better light. Hold on.
No, it's coming through pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that helpful? I don't know if that's helpful. Okay, if it's coming through, great. Yeah, and then so you can see how I just made them progressively larger. And every other has two layers of this. I think it was I don't know what I used. I forget now. Sorry. And then I painted, I etched, I scored our flower that I designed for our wedding on, and then I painted it.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. I mean, it's not huge, but it was fun. It was neat. And I finally got those little glue squeegee tube things that you told me about Rockler had.
Oh, yeah.
Saved me completely from like gluing my fingers to the thing. Like, those are invaluable. Thank you.
Yeah, that it's really nice for doing precision gluing stuff, and that what it does. So I'm going to switch over. Hang on a second. I'm going to switch over to my to my phone, and I can walk over here.
How did you align the pieces when you're gluing?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
How'd you align the pieces?
Oh, you know what? I scored a line on each piece. Siren, what are you looking for? Yeah, did you want to see the bowl? I scored a line on each piece where I was going to glue the next one so I could carefully align it and I wouldn't have to guess.
Nice.
So I only had a couple of things I did. Oh, here's this one that didn't work. This one was sort of the deers came out as an epic fail on that one. So I've got to redo the front piece on that. And then here's my doggy ornament. And then this is this one is 3 pieces. The bells are different, so that way it makes it a little easier to paint. And then I scored it on there so I know where to put it back, because I'm terrible about losing things. Then this one,
very nice,
is 2 pieces. And then here's a Santa Claus and a reindeer. Sort of hard to get that one, but it's 2 pieces that set together. That was another scroll saw pattern the other day. And then this was their sort of hard to see this, but it's easier to see this way. So it says, bless this home. And then it just, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the back in red and then leave the front in just the birch color and put them together. And then we did, the other one I did was these. Oh, that's the prototype. It didn't work. This is the one that was a sheep. And this piece, and the back piece. So it's a little nativity scene there. I try and do one of those really simple ones every year. It makes it that was my projects for the last week or two. So
Those look great.
Yeah.
Anybody else got one?
Really cute.
I'm gonna switch back over here. Hang on a second. Oop, if I can figure out how to do this.
I got something.
Go.
Okay, let me figure out how to drive this thing for the front camera. Okay, there we are. We had a report of some problems on the laser at the shop, the green laser. So I went in there one day and ran a job of doing just a sample Christmas ornament. So out of the same media, make an array of this type of ornament with this on the same piece of wood, level, focused all the way across. The nuances of getting a cut like this versus a cut like that versus a cut not all the way through. Just the nuances of using the laser and, you know, seeing what would be the right settings because of glue amounts between lasers, or glue amounts between the layers, I should say. And, you know, picking the right settings, doing a right test cut is something that I am still struggling with, because you would think that a piece of wood that's 24 by 18 will give performance across the entire length of the material. It doesn't. So that was some of the challenges to work through to get the laser more finely tuned, and also laser alignment and cleanliness of lenses and mirrors. So just to be forewarned, you don't want to put your expensive piece of wood on there as the first cut. You want to try and use the same type of wood, but make sure it's going to cut all the way through, especially on ply. I don't know about the solid woods, because I haven't really experimented with that stuff. So again, just a word to the wise. And I don't know if you've run into the same situation, Alan, with some of the birch that you use, the quality, the type, the manufacturer, any kind of gluing that impacts the quality of burn. That's it.
Was the bed not level? Because I know it's been a problem before on green.
Bed was level to within 0.1 millimeters from back to front, all the four corners, and then of course the center was okay. So that's one of the first things I'm starting to double check, is making sure that no belt slips or teeth slip to kind of get that Z focus slightly out. I'm use the penny and the blue tape and do a pulse to make sure that the pulse is not off center of the lens or the mirror block at the on the gantry, and just doing some of these preliminary checks before I start doing a burn, because there's so many little differences and what can make an impact on the quality of the burn and success or the failure.
Sure. So for the 3 that you just showed, was that all with the same speed and power? Or
All
are they varying presses?
same speed and same power.
That's bizarre, because I've definitely seen that effect, but only when the bed was really out of level. It was a ½ inch difference between the left and right.
Oh, that's way too much. Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I ended up having to shim the piece to try and get it to work. But if you were able to get to 1 millimeter, that shouldn't matter at all. Like, it should have been cut into that like butter.
Yeah. So anyhow, just a minor observation that when people are using the shop laser, you think it's an industrial machine. Well, it is, and it does get used. And again, just can't emphasize enough, don't put your expensive piece of wood in there the first time. Do plenty of sample cuts and see the progression or the success or failure, and before you put that nice hunk of wood in there.
So I always play with something before I do it. So I just bought new plywood too, and I noticed that I got it at Strata, and the 3 millimeter Baltic birch they have out there. I don't know if it's a different manufacturer or they changed their process, but instead of footballs, I now have W's. So when they cut the knots out, instead of having a football that went in there, these look like a W that goes in its place. So it's not quite as pleasing to the eye as football was. I try and work around those anyway, but still, I'm wondering what's going to happen when if the glue is different too. Since it may be a different manufacturer. I haven't used any of it. I just got it like 2 weeks ago and cut it up, and I've still got a pile of my other that I'm using. But it'll be interesting to have to run that through and check and see what's going on.
Yeah, I had read somewhere that if you have access to like a 500-watt spotlight, you take your piece of wood and hold it against the light source. And if it's a strong enough light source, it can go through the wood so that you could then start seeing some variations in the layers. And if there's any glue deviations within the layers, that may give you an indication of areas to not to burn or to not to use or something like that, because that would affect the success of the job.
I did that for a while. I got this I don't know, it's a square floodlight thing, and I was trying that, and I spent so much time looking through trying to find a bad spot, and I didn't find that many. So I finally decided that it just wasn't worth my time to go through and do that. The plywood was that plywood I was getting at that time was pretty good. So I don't know, and I haven't had any problem with the stuff from Strata lately. So, but this, like I said, this is a totally new design for the taking the knots out. So I'm wondering if they went to a different company, and by doing that, I'm going to have to deal with a different kind of glue and end up resetting all my power levels for what I think the cut through a piece of 3 millimeter is going to be.
Yeah, that would be, I guess, now that you mentioned, is Strata up in North County?
No, Strata's in Santee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, out there. Yeah, so the next time I buy some of this stuff, I'm going to ask them pointedly, where did you, who's the mill that makes this stuff, to start maybe getting logs of the material and identify it. And then as I use it, kind of start getting educated on different manufacturers of ply.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of
you can go up to you can go to LA to Anderson Plywood up there, and that's where they make their own, and they'll tell you everything you ever wanted to know about that piece of plywood. So, but I think they're a little more expensive than this stuff that
Yeah.
I don't know where this stuff comes from.
Yeah, so you burn through 5 pieces of wood as opposed to 1 piece of wood. I don't know. It's food for thought on doing some of this detailed work. So because you want a nice detailed work to come out for, ornaments like that, instead of having to punch out things like that. It's ridiculous. So okay.
That's why I still have a scroll saw.
That'll take even longer.
Yeah, but it keeps you from having to throw that ornament away.
That is,
because once it's got a laser, once the laser's had its time with it, even if it doesn't cut all the way through, it scores a really nice line, and a 2-aught scroll saw blade will you don't even have to watch it. It just follows the laser line all the way around.
All right.
So it's a lot easier to cut.
So something like that's happened to me too, but it's because my material's a bit warped, and I'm just curious if anybody has any tricks on how to, like, do you use magnets that kind of snap it to your bed, or do you put it on, a weight on it for X number of days, hoping that it flattens out? What do you guys typically do to combat that?
So I have my bed. I have a carpenter's square on 2 sides of my bed. One of those great big framing squares that's bolted. I bolted it to my bed so that I can push the piece of 3mm up against it. And then I just use magnets on the edge around that. And then on the other 2 sides, I've got some 1/2 inch by 1 inch bar stock that I just lay on it. And I've learned that if you put the bow, and I never remember how you say this, but yeah, like that, if you put that, and then you put your weights on the end, it works. Because if it bows the other way, you have to put the weights in the middle, and it doesn't work. So, that's what. And I've got some magnets too. But the problem I found with my bigger magnets, I got some of those twist lock magnets, but they're too tall. They're that tall, and the laser hits them. So I decided that wasn't the smartest idea that I've ever tried.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased just using bar stock, having the right different sizes of bar stock, seeing the way the wood curves or doing it the other way, and
I'm really sorry, but
trying to make sure it's pretty even across the face of your workpiece.
What did you say, Elizabeth?
What is bar stock?
It's a square bar of metal.
Yeah.
A square bar what?
Iron.
Of metal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's heavy, so that weighs it down. Okay, great.
It's like whatever the shop.
The place, Industrial Metal Supply, it's over west of Convoy, south of Claremont Mesa, that they have a bunch of cutoffs, and you can go in there and get just rusty steel, but it holds the material down. It has enough mass to it to take the warp out of at least 3mm ply, so that you can get a pretty even Z adjustment across the face of your workpiece. And then miscellaneous sizes.
Yeah, you can get. So this is the little stuff. I don't like it because it doesn't have as much weight. It's 1/2 by 3/4. So I went to 1/2 by 1 1/2. So it's wider this way. And then I just cut off. I've got like 2, 3 6-inch pieces and a couple of 12-inch pieces. And what you got to do is, I don't know what your focus is on your laser, but just make sure that your head will run over the top of this so it doesn't hit it. And they excuse me. Like Paul said, you can get any thickness. You can buy steel or brass or aluminum or whatever. Don't buy the aluminum; it doesn't help. But just the plain steel is the best stuff, and it comes in. I think the stuff I bought was like 2-foot pieces, and I had to cut it. But what I did was I like Paul said, I cleaned it up with some steel wool, and then I shellacked it so it doesn't rust, and it works fine. I use that all the time. That and then the magnets on the other two sides.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I'll try that.
All right. Anybody else have anything cool? Jim, you don't have anything?
No, no, I left it all at the shop today.
Ah, all right. So, nobody else has anything. Well, I didn't see, Travis was in some class tonight, or he was teaching a class, one of the two, I'm not sure which. So, he didn't show up there. But I do have something I would like to propose. Instead of making this every other week, I would like to propose us go back to once a month. Does anybody have and if anybody has, here's my deal. If anybody has any heartburn with it, they can run it the other time. So
I do have a comment along with Elizabeth. That basket that she had was very similar to the napkin baskets that I was doing a couple of years ago. And when you talked about not cutting all the way through and the bed not being level and so forth, and that didn't enter into my mind because Travis had set me up basically and reauthored the design and made it so it was real workable. But there was a point when the pieces on every one was very similar. It cut all the way through, but then across the back or the top, as you look at it, the part farthest away from you, it never would cut all the way through. As a result, I had to use my 2/0 blade and follow the initial cut to clean it up. And yeah, I'll check that next time to make sure it's extremely flat.
that 3mm plywood warps so easily that you know, if you don't store it flat, it will warp. I keep mine. I keep like 20 sheets, and then I keep a big box of heavy metal stuff on the top of it, and I don't seem to have any problem with it warping that way. But before I did that, it seemed like, especially in the wintertime, I think is because it's wetter that it did that. And I would notice that it was harder to cut, you know, get a consistent cut all the way through.
So you definitely store it flat, horizontal?
Yep, I just lay it flat and stack, because I cut all mine. So I have a panel saw. So when I go get that stuff in 5-foot squares, when I go down to Strata, I'll buy 25 sheets because I only want to go down there. You know, I take my big truck down to get it back up here. I don't want to go take the truck down for 1 sheet of plywood. And I run it all through the panel saw all at once and end up with 12 by 20 sheets. And I just lay it. I've got a wire rack, like a baker's rack thing on wheels, and I just lay them probably, I don't know, 8 inches tall, however many that is. And I put something heavy on the top of it and keep it flat, and then I don't seem to have any problem.
Yeah, TH&H stores their product vertically on a slant. So that's going to start introducing a warp.
Yeah, definitely what happened to me.
Yeah, Strata stores theirs flat, and I also know San Marcos Hardwood stores theirs flat too. But because they're more of a lumber yard, and that's the way lumber yards do things.
Right.
And I think TH&H, they get more plywood of that Baltic birch in one area because they stand it up and they don't have as much.
Yeah.
So
Cut mine all down to the size of bed we have. It's a 12 by 20. And so I'm hoping that the weight of it slowly over time, you know, maybe if I just put a few heavier things on top, that'll help it out. Right now I just searched through looking for the flattest piece.
yeah. So like I said, I don't have any problem with mine because I store it all flat and then I just put something heavy in the middle of it.
We're gonna head to bath time, but it was really great to see all of you and chat for a bit. Thank you.
Good to see
Good seeing
you.
you.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have anything good, bad, or ugly?
No problem going to once a month. I mean, if we have more of a need to get back to more frequently than once a month, then I guess we can just make a request in the forum.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I think we sort of went to twice a month because we all didn't have anything better to do because we were sequestered, and I think now we're coming out of that a little bit.
And holidays are approaching.
Yeah, holiday. Yeah, next month will be Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then it's oh wait, I didn't show my Christmas thing. I don't know how to do that.
Well, next month, but
I'll show it next month. It's my how to get through Christmas tree.
okay.
Hey, Alan, this is Lou Adzima.
Hey, Lou.
I did get my camera hooked up to the laser. The only hang up is I got to come up with some way of running the wire out without it dropping down on the cutting bed when you shut the lid, you know. But it looks really neat. I hope it works out well.
Yeah, that's my next thing that I want to try and do. I'm not sure that.
Adhesive backed timeouts.
That's what I was looking for. It's exactly what I had in mind, but I don't have any.
They have them up at WE Supply.
Where's that at?
It's right around the corner from Rockler. And
WE Supply.
WE Supply. I'll find it in the chat.
It used to be Willie's, Lou.
Oh, okay.
They changed the name of it to protect the guilty.
It was down in Chula Vista, wasn't it?
They have one down there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they had both of them. I went there about a year ago or so, and it's like, well, what happened to you? What happened to Willie's? And you go, oh, we just changed the name.
Same
thing with a bag of money.
Gateway Electronics, I think. Same thing. Remember that?
Actually, I probably get them online. And
yeah.
And you probably get them online cheaper, and they'll be delivered to you tomorrow, and you won't have to drive all the way across San Diego.
Exactly, looking for something. I've become the sucker, the Amazon sucker. You know, and my justification for that is, I went looking for a fuse for our water heater, a tankless water heater, and I went to 3 stores, Dixieline, our local hardware store, and somewhere else, and they had the exact same hard display with the same fuses on it, which mine wasn't on. You know, and I was driving across town trying to find it.
Yeah, it's like going to Fry's and wanting to buy something in electronics. That's not a computer or already built.
It's not worth walking across that store, the length of that store, to get to the back wall to find out they don't have what you want.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can show you guys this. See if I can share my screen here. Maybe I can share my screen. All right, here we go. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Can you see that?
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, it's nice.
Are those mini shots?
Yeah,
Very-
that's what's going to get me through Christmas is a bunch of mini shots and elves, dude.
Are you giving these Christmas trees away? I take it, please.
Actually, I'm going to put them on Etsy for $50 a piece without the booze.
Without the booze. Wow.
Right. So one of the girls that I worked with showed me something that was like that, and it was in Europe, and they were charging $180 for one of those, but it had 24 bottles and it had some Christmas ornaments on it or something. But still, it was a piece of quarter-inch plywood was all it was.
You need a liquor license then?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's why I'm not selling liquor. I'm not gonna, go to the store. They're $1.88 a piece. I had never bought one of those. I went to the liquor store the other day and bought them, and they were $1.88 a piece. So.
Really?
Wow.
What's the size on that, Al?
It's 12 inches.
Okay.
So.
It's cute. I mean, it would be a great idea for gifts, you know.
Oh yeah, everybody I've shown it to is like, oh yeah, I want one. Oh, well, you're not going to give it to me? Yeah. All righty. Anybody got anything else? It's 8 o'clock. I'm going to go out here and harass my grandson, who's I hear running around my garage, which is not a good thing. The
address for WE Supply in off Claremont Mesa is in the chat if anybody wants it.
Thank you.
So the way I remember where it is it's behind Cheetah.
Oh, it is?
Mercury Street. Yeah,
Mercury.
I know where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's measured by something you know.
Or
say how well.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Night.
Good night. Thanks.
Night.
Bye-bye.